We ready.
You are live.
Yes, finally, we are live, witches and warlocks. Episode 1, everybody. I'm the Black Fit Witch.
And I am Galactic Honey.
Yep, and tonight is going to be kind of like our beginner introduction. This is pretty much us just kind of dialoguing and just talking about, cosmic partnerships, beginning stages, you know, just us just sharing a little bit about our relationship and cosmic partnership, where we are, stages, things like that. And just kind of allowing it to flow as we go deeper each time and kind of connect the pieces for everybody, because we definitely feel like people are coming into cosmic partnerships more and more, and it could look like a lot of different things.
Yeah.
Like you were saying, mother, son, daughter,
Fun.
father,
Hmm. Yes.
all of that. So,
Like I even like went in so far as like this can it can even look like adopted children. Like it looks like a
mhm,
lot of things that I've seen and you notice the signature because we carry it. So
mhm.
gonna be it's gonna be a lot of realizations coming into play in the next couple of years. People are gonna
Mm.
realize like, okay, this child I adopted, I'm mighty close to, you know.
Yeah, that's interesting. Because people don't think of it like that, but adopted,
Mhm.
like there's some type of cosmic connection to you
Yeah,
even receiving that child coming to you and you receiving that child. Like,
yeah,
even that alignment is a lot. Like,
yeah,
people just think like, oh, I just adopted a baby. Like, no, that child is somewhere connected to you through other timelines of existences, and here you are back together in this partnership
again,
that you all helping each other ascend. Like, there's an ascension process with
yes,
that child that you all have to continue. So, yeah, I never thought about it like that, even with adopted children. And it may be the reason why some people don't have children. Like, I know a lot of women that want to have children and then they start looking into adoption. So it's
yeah,
like, damn, your mission could be to get your child, because this is your child in another timeline, or this may have been, some type of connection to this child in
mhm,
another timeline, and you gotta do that work with this child. So the universe will
yeah,
make you bear it just so you can get
yeah,
that child and do the work. Like, that's why I
yeah,
never thought about it like.
yeah, and you choose. We don't remember, of course, what we choose when we come here. We just have to trust. But
Mm-hmm.
this is the pact that you and this child made before you come to this reality. So it can play out in a lot of different ways and different scenarios. That's why I'm glad that we even brought this together, because people are so stuck on twin flame, which in my from my perspective is the lowest form of these connections. And then you have cosmic partnership, where cosmic partnership could be any partnership. It doesn't have to always be romantic, but we and me, I have been stuck on the romantic end of it too. But you kind of have to release that, like release what you have been taught so far, and just be open to new perspectives on um these relationships and these
Mm-hmm.
new ways of learning yourself and this other being who is also you.
And I have to go back to my favorite movie now is Elemental. So I have to go back.
Um,
I love that movie.
I
Boy,
didn't
watch
cry
it.
though. I didn't cry, but I was
I
like,
cry
ooh,
every
I was
time I watch
this close.
that movie. Touches me. But I also feel like cosmic partnerships come in different forms, like you stated, but they also evolve. And I think
Yeah.
about it because, like in Elemental, it was she had a cosmic partnership with her father. Like her
Hmm.
father and his wife, like her mother and father came over to that land just so she could have a better life. So
Yes.
she was at the end, he said, "You were the dream." You know what I'm saying? Like he said, "You were the dream." And that made me cry because it was like stating, "You, baby, you are the dream. You were my, everything that
Yeah.
she did was for her father. She didn't even try to live out her dream because she was so connected to being what her father wanted her to be, to take over the shop. But then
Hmm.
her connection evolved to something outside of her form, to that she connected to, and he showed her a different way to look at herself and love. So she ended up connecting to him. And so
Hmm.
just looking at it was like, I even see that in myself. Like my cosmic partnership for me first was my daddy. Like my daddy was my woman
Yeah.
should do, and he just did all those things for me growing up. And then in Evolved, outside of that, to like you said, the romantic side. So I understand, like I was a connection with Elemental
Hmm.
on so many different sides. Like even when they didn't see that they were in a relationship, they weren't in a relationship. They weren't in a relationship, but even like his boss was like, "You all make a cute couple." And she was like, "We're not together." Like people
Yeah.
will see you and your cosmic partner out and they be like, "Y'all look alike," or something like
Yeah.
that. Things like that you wouldn't even think, like, because it's so ordained, it's so cosmic. So I
It's so
picked up so many
orchestrated, right?
lessons.
Yeah. My favorite is her not recognizing her power. She thought that her weakness, her getting too angry, that was a weakness for her, when what her cosmic partner did for her was showed her that that was actually her strength, that was her power. And that's how she ultimately created, she started creating the glass with the sand and stuff like that. And she started to recognize what she was good at, and then she hit that tower moment, when she thought that she had to be something else. It's like we
Mhm.
look at cosmic partnerships, or you look at your partner and you think, okay, well, there is no way that these two elements can mix. These are two different elements.
Yeah.
And we have been taught that these types of elements don't mix, just like oil and water. You don't mix oil and water because they don't mix, right? But what they learned
Mhm.
was, by her being fire and him being water, um, they learned that they are not limited. That's when
Exactly.
one of the things that I loved about it was that they learned that they were not limited to what they were taught, and what they have seen for, like, when they came over there to the town where they had all the elements and they were all set up in different areas, but it was still all one place.
Mhm.
It looked like, everybody was like staying with their element, even though they weren't happy. All of them wasn't happy with just that one element. They, in turn, with through their partnership and through their trust for each other, the trust that they had built from with each other, and through trial and error, and through um like taking the leap of faith and touching each other for the first time, and then noticing, okay, oh, okay, I didn't disappear. I didn't evaporate. You know what I'm saying? That right there just shows the different stages and phases that we go through within these connections, and how they play out all around us all the time, and how that connect you and that person coming together basically did what they did with with the two separate elements. They conjoined together, and they were able to, show other people and influence other people to, step outside of their box and join with other elements. So that was really cool. I liked Elemental. That put a lot of perspective on
It puts so
the
much
cosmic
like
partnership.
What was his name? What was the water guy's name? I can't even
Girl,
remember
I
his
can't even
name.
remember.
I can't even remember his name, but he said something that was so sweet. Like he was so sweet to me. And it just shows like even in the partnerships, like it's always gonna be somebody whose heart chakra already open. They've done the work, they're
Yeah,
ascending
he was
right.
so
They are
open.
like he was so open with his emotions. His family
Yes,
was open. They cried, ah! Water coming out loud. They was just his
yes,
heart shop was so open. But she was so fiery, like she was so much of that fire energy that she didn't cry. You know what I'm saying? She was kind of hard. You'll
yeah,
always have one of the persons, your other person in the cosmic partnership that's gonna be like hardcore, like they're gonna be kind of
yeah,
like a break. You got to break them and break open
yeah,
their heart chakra
yeah,
because it's there, but you haven't allowed it to be revealed. And he did it so subtle, like he showed her how to be loving. And even when she was
yeah,
like, we can't touch, he said something I love. He said, let's start small. And because they were looking at the other people dancing and they was holding each other and they were looking at each other and they kind of backed away, and then they was about to do it, she was like, no, and he was like, let's start small, and he put his hand out, and
mhm,
that made me cry again because I was just like, wow, let's start small, because that's what it
yeah.
is. Like, you start small, then you build
You
up. Like, baby, I
do.
ain't asking for the world. We just gonna start with a look. Let's just start by, let's say, how are you today? You know what I'm saying? Like, let's start off small. Like, I'm not asking for you to, break out of your mold of who you are. But as we
Yeah,
start to add on, we'll see that it's okay. And she started to feel safe because she was like, oh, I can't touch.
mhm,
Because, she was in a world where she couldn't go see the wisteria, the plant. Her people basically were outcasts. They didn't want to rent to her parents because they was fired. They was kind of like the
yeah,
minority people, like Black people are and other BIPOC communities are in this world. Like, we keep you out. So she has only been used to being around her own people. So to be
mhm,
around somebody that was different and they embraced her lovingly, because the whole town was about water. Like, she had to carry an
yeah,
umbrella, everything was made for water. Nothing
yeah,
really was made for fire. And just to see that it was okay to be open and share that. And even at the game, like, a tear came out, but the tear
yeah,
only came out because he shared how he felt when he first met her.
yeah,
And nobody had talked to her like that. And
yeah.
she heard him just share how he felt when he first saw. I'm like, oh no, it's not crying again.
I know.
And she's a tear came down. It was like, oh, like his family was.
Yes.
So
Yeah,
it
he
was
completely
just
brought her
so.
out of her shell.
Yep.
He put her he took her out of the box that she had been in all of this time, and he brought her out of her shell, and not only that, but he cared enough about her to question her. He wasn't afraid to say, like, is that really what you want to do? That's not really what you want to do. Like, he encouraged her to be her own individual person, outside of working a shop for her dad and being raised to, work that shop one day. He gave her the inspiration, and he he gave her that thought process of, well, what if I do just, be myself? Like, what if I could? And he
Mhm.
planted that seed within her, and it grew. Um, to the point, and she was very stubborn. And as divine feminine, a lot of people do not talk about how we are very impatient, and we are very, like, stubborn when it comes to change as well, because we want to be right. You do something for so long, and you think that this is your dream, and then all of a sudden you meet a person, and then now you see that there's a whole nother side to what you could do. You realize how limited you've been.
Yes.
Okay,
And that's
because
why
they
partnerships so,
are,
man.
I'm kind of,
Ah, girl, yes.
I see my partner. I can go out of town and I see my partner's lane and my partner's name, the street, the exit, the name and the birthday. Like it's so much when I don't know what's going on with him, the music plays and then all of a sudden I'm like, okay, I don't need to worry then. You know, it's so
Mhm.
many different avenues and aspects that you really have to do the work to be open to receive within these connections. And she had to be open to receive the fact that, okay, I might need to rethink what I really want to do in
Oh
this
no, my
lifetime.
computer froze.
Oh, there you go.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Did I go away?
You just froze a little bit, but you're back now.
I'm freezing. Yeah. Oh wow, so crazy. This internet don't want me to be great. I swear tonight. It's gonna happen anyway. So what I want to go and talk about, am I froze?
Mm-mm. No, you good.
I don't know if I'm froze or not. I'm not froze. I'm good. Okay. So I wanted to go into like, because I want to share, I want people to understand that, like what we stated, you stated it earlier, like it's not the twin flame journey. It's none of that. Like the cosmic partnership is very different, but it has similarities. So I don't want people to think like when we start to share, be like, "Ooh, that's twin flame." Like stop, like erase your mind of what you've heard twin flame. Like erase your mind of all of that because so much information has been put out there. But what's
Yeah.
happening now is cosmic partnership connections. People are coming aware of these cosmic partnership connections. They are very similar to soulmate energies, very similar to twin flame connections, because you're going to see similarities in the connection, but you're also going to see an ascension and a growth process and an inevitability of you all being together. It's like even when you try to repel it, it's like zap. It's like
You're like magnets.
yeah, it's like magnets. So I know I've heard like with twin flame relationship, there's runner, there's chaser, which is similar in a cosmic partnership connection. The only thing different in a cosmic partnership connection is there is no releasing you. If you release your cosmic partnership, you're forcing yourself to not be with that person because you're magnetically attracted. Even when that person hasn't ascended to a higher level of consciousness where they should be, they can't help but be with you. Like they may need
Mhm.
that time away, which is
Yeah.
understandable, but they gonna come back. Like it is
Yeah.
inevitable for you all to be together. So
Yeah, there's
just
no actual runner or chaser in
yes,
cosmic partnership. It may look like it, but there is no actual like this is not where you um are playing this game of back and forth.
mm-hmm,
This is the higher octave of that. So you have surpassed that and now you have graduated to the next level, just like you're in school, right? You graduated to the next level of this partnership. Sometimes those are the same people because I have evolved with my relationship through these same stages. Sometimes it's the same people, and sometimes on your journey, these are new people that you come into contact. In our case, these are new versions of the people that we first met.
exactly,
So we are basically putting into perspective that even though you may see these similarities, we want you to understand that if you still stuck on the twin flame dynamic, it is the lowest form of this transformation that happens
exactly,
within yourself and within that person. These partnerships that we are talking about are basically on a level where you're not running and you're not chasing, but you are being. This is now the new reality. You are basically this is where the actual reprogramming happens in these stages, where you have healed you have healed a whole, like most of the childhood trauma. You have healed those past relationships. You have surpassed that. Now in this part of the dynamic, you are actually reprogramming each other. You will be tested still, but you're not tested in the same way as if um you guys have that, as if there's an actual separation that happens, because it really is impossible.
No, because it's like you saying, it's not runner chaser. It's more of I gotta do more work so I can ascend. So I'm
Yeah,
not
you have an
running.
understanding of
I'm
it.
doing an inward journey for self ascension to connect to my highest self. It's not that I'm chasing you because there's no chase. Is
Mhm.
that I've already sent it to what you working on. So I am attracted to you because I already done that work, but I understand that you haven't. So you may have to do the work that I've already done. So there may be kind of like, you may look at it like a push and pull, maybe a little bit,
Mhm.
but it may be somebody who's, I've done that, but this person hasn't done that yet. And
Yeah,
then we'll have this frequency of some harmony. You have another person who has done a little bit more, but this person hasn't. And then they'll come, and then it may look like, or if what you
mhm.
think may be runner chasing, but it's really not. It's me working on what I got to work on for me, and
Yeah,
you working on what you got for you. And it may not always be in alignment
yeah,
based on the level of consciousness of that individual, of where they are in their journey, because our journeys are different. But then with the cosmic partnership is the same. It's just, it's kind of like we're working on ourselves in different ways.
yeah. You are
So
now activating the chakra system.
mhm.
You are climbing the chakra system. You're activating that chakra system, and this does not happen in order. Like, you don't just start
Yeah.
at the root chakra and then you go to the sacral
No.
chakra. This can happen you can be working on different chakras at any point in time. And you will get the signs and synchronicities of what chakras y'all are actually working out of and actually working on. So I could be in my heart chakra, right? But he is not quite in the heart chakra right now. Maybe he's really busy and he's working on, establishing himself, creating stability or something like this. So he may be working out of the root chakra, but I'm sitting in the heart chakra. So what will happen is you will feel that push and pull energy that tells you, okay, this is what I'm working on right now. This is what he's working on right now. I saw this sign of synchronicity. This may come to you in dreams, but most of the time this comes to you basically like feelings, and um it's a lot of heart space work that you have to do, because the heart space connection has to always be open to give and receive these energies, so that you actually know what is going on and what you need to do, how you need to do it. um I remember, like, just recently, he has made it to the crown chakra, where he was working on the crown chakra one week, and then I noticed that he's working on a completely different chakra. And I have noticed where he is working on several chakras at a time. So this goes beyond what you have already learned and established. It's like the next level of, well, it's previous next levels of um everything that you have learned in the past regarding twin flame. Now when you go into divine counterpart, you are actually energetically healing. You are cosmically healing on
Mhm.
several different levels, which has a lot to do with the mind and um surrender. It has a lot to do with surrender, a lot of surrender. I've noticed that when I just go to sleep, things happen a lot faster. That's how I surrender. I go to sleep, take a nap. It's nap time, go into dreamland. But yeah,
Okay. I think I'm back. Am I back?
yes,
Am I back? Am I back? Yeah. Oh no. Okay. It's
Easy.
going. I don't know what's going on. Uh, Tonight it's new moon. It's new moon. It's eclipse energy. So hey, it is what it is. It's showing itself out tonight because we was gonna be on here at 8:30, and then all of a sudden,
Yeah.
Wi-Fi said no. So going like starting with like sharing with my connection when we first met was about it was back in 2009 when we first saw each other. He remembers me. I do not remember engaging in him. He said that I said hey, and he remembered me when I said hey, and I'm just friendly like that anyway. So I remembered his name. He said I remembered his name. He had told me his name before I remembered his name. He remembers our first encounter. I don't really remember, but he said he does everything about me. Did not connect, did not exchange numbers, none of that at all during that time. Fast forward probably about 3 or 4 years later, it was my birthday. End up bumping into him at a party of a mutual friend we both know. He saw me. He asked me for my number. I said, no, I'm in a relationship, which I was. I said, I'm in a relationship. I don't give my number out when I'm with somebody. I said, I'm sorry. One of what's interesting about that time is the fact that when he asked me, even right now, I remember like looking in his eyes, and it was like some type of like soul connection. Like it's like I saw past, like even right now, I remember where we were. I remember seeing straight like through his soul. It was something weird about it. Didn't
Mhm.
think nothing about it. That was, I think, that was in 2014, 2013, 2014. 4.5 years later, run into each other again. I'm out getting something to eat with my son. Boom, he's there. I'm not in a relationship at that time. He was divorced at the time. That's when we finally connected. So it was so interesting to me that was 3 times that we had actually encountered each other. And it was like the third time was the time that we were actually able to exchange numbers and then start going through what I know now as being the cosmic partnership and the divine connection, because I didn't even know nothing about this in 2017 at all. But the frequency that I was on, the frequency that he was on, we came together, and it was just like wow, this is really what it is. But I call this forth because I call forth this love and relationship that I wanted. And we'll call these things for, because they're human beings. We want love, we want partnership. That's just natural. We want to be
Mhm.
able to be and connect with somebody else, which is natural. Had no clue about the stages and the level of work that had to be done within me, as I thought that I had been doing the work within me. But we don't know the work that needs to be done until we're connected with someone else, and they show you, like you said, they mirror to you what you need to do and what you need to work on, because alone you don't know. You think you good if you at home burning your
Mhm.
sage, making your teas, doing whatever that you do with your magical fucking self. You think you good. Be like, I don't need to be
Mhm.
in a relationship good by myself. Like, yeah, you probably think you are good, but you don't know how much work you need to do until you
Exactly.
connect with somebody that show you who you are. And
Mhm.
then you like, well, damn, like I didn't even know. Cause like you said, with the patience thing, like I know I'm impatient. I move fast, I walk fast, I talk fast, I do everything fast. So I want my shit to show up fast. When I do
Yeah.
witches spells and do my mantras and all that at my altar, I be like, okay, y'all
Yeah.
know who it is. I want this. I want that. Earthly Friday. I need this to come into my realm. So when I talk to those deities, and when I talk to those connections of deities that are within me, then they kind of know that, okay, but Dina got to learn this. You know what I'm saying? Like she got to learn this first before we can move her here. And
Yeah.
so in a relationship, it's showing me that, be like, hey, you want this, but you hear it, you won't hear it. Like you got to work that ass
Mhm.
to
Yeah.
that.
They show you that you have to do the work. Like mine is similar to yours, but because when I first met him, I knew nothing about. I was just like starting to see 1111. I was just knowing what angel numbers were and all of that because I started seeing 420. And because I was a smoker at the time, I was thinking like, okay, well, I'm seeing 420 because I'm a smoker. But I was actually seeing 420 day and night. I was seeing it on receipts because I was a bartender. I was seeing it everywhere. Every day and night, I was seeing it over and over again. And I was like, well, let me just look up what this may mean because this has to mean something. And I kept thinking it for so long, like it has to mean something. And when I figured it out, I just so happened to be the bartender at the restaurant where he had started working. Okay. I didn't even know that he was there. I had worked with his brother previously to this for years at a different restaurant. And so the lady that brought us in, me and him, um, she also had worked with us at this other restaurant. So I was literally like led to him. We were magnetized to each other. As soon as I saw him, I knew. I was thinking first of all, because I saw him standing next to his brother, I'm like, it's a light skin and it's a dark skin one. Okay. You know, but when I first saw him, it was just like, he's interesting. Like it was like I had to, like as soon as I saw him, like I would make excuses just to go into the kitchen because I had to like see more, if that made sense. It was like something just kept intriguing me, and I had never met him before. And then finally, when we were in the kitchen together, with like all of a sudden I can like feel him standing over me. And the way he was like looking at me when I turned around and looked at him, I'm like, okay, say hey if you're gonna just stare at me, right? But he was staring at me like, are you ready? Like, I'm here. Like, it wasn't the type of meeting that was like, hey, how you doing? What's your name? Like that. It was like we already knew each other. It was like he was standing there like you called me in. And I'm just like, I thought, but that has stuck with me through, and I met him in 2018. It kind of started when I had my last child in 2017, but then in 2018 is when I met him. And I'm noticing that a lot of the partnerships that I have come into contact with, that people that are in cosmic partnership, a lot is like they will meet each other in 2008, then all of a sudden they don't see each other again, and now it's 2018. You know what I'm saying? I'm noticing that these the same like synchronicity is going on between the cosmic partnerships. When we first encountered each other, the recognition was like, okay, that's when we did the runner chaser thing because we really didn't know. Like we were starting storms.
Mhm.
We knew we were starting a storm. We were like just because we were sitting in the same car together, it was like starting cosmic storms, like lightning would start happening. It'll just start raining out of nowhere. Um, Things would just energetically start to happen in the physical reality. I'm like, we got to be like something is going on. Like this is not normal. I've never had these type of encounters with a person. And I was like, it wasn't even supposed to rain today. Those be the days where you be like, kind of like mind fucked. You be like, hold on, like I'm gonna test this out to see if this is just you. You know what I'm saying? And we were kind of
Mhm.
like, he'll be like, there go the rain again. You know what I'm saying? We'll be sitting there and he'll be like, there go the rain again. And I look on the weather app like it wasn't even supposed to rain today. A lot of weird things started happening, but the most important was that we could not talk to each other for months, but felt each other every part of the way, and felt each other in a way to where it's like you have to go back. You have to like. it's like you were literally being magnetized to each other. And it's like when you have those magnets, sometimes that when you swap them around and then they start to repel each other, but then you twist them around a different way, and then all of a sudden they come together like that. That's how our relationship was at first. It was just so up and down and in and out, but we never were disconnected from each other. Like I could feel his pain. I could feel it. I went celibate for 3 years. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't because we were having sex. Like these are the differences that I saw with cosmic partnership than I saw with twin flame relationship. It was on a way deeper level. When you think about twin flame, even though it is 5D, they say, but the dynamic is so different in energy. Like the energy is so different that you have to know, like, there's something else. Like this is not something they not telling me. And I always felt like I'm like, I must have the missing link to this twin flame stuff. Like I must have the missing link. Like something is going on. It's something more than what they're explaining to me. But
Mm-hmm.
everybody is explaining from their own understanding. So, you know, now since we have reached the cosmic end of it, that's why witches and warlocks is so much needed, because we bring a completely different perspective, a twist to what we have already learned when it comes to the divine counterparts and twin flames and stuff like that. This is a very different way of being, and diving deep than I've seen with the twin flame thing. Like a lot of people don't make it past the twin flame um
Mm-hmm.
era, if you will. Like that's a phase that you go through, and a lot of people don't even make it past that. But you have people that are getting it now, and they are going to start to literally come into union. Instead of being afraid of it, they're going to walk in the unknown, and they're going to want to figure it out, because the soul is not going to let you rest until you complete the mission from what you came here to do. So it's just like when they say, you have free will, but you don't have free will.
Exactly. And you can, and you'll know, like it's kind of like what you were saying earlier. It's more like a mind or intuitive connection. Like,
Mhm.
and it's different then, and you'll see what that difference is within your connection, because everybody has one that makes it stand out from any other connection you've had in your previous relationships or realms or timelines.
Mhm.
So just like when I first was in mine, like we were sleeping on the couch. Y'all know I'm a dream person. I'm an astro travel person. So it comes to me like that. We're sleeping on the couch. All of a sudden, we're out of body. And his soul is talking to my soul. And this was
Mhm.
like this was like in 2017, 2018. I was like, wow. So his soul was talking to me, and he said, you don't let anybody treat you any kind of way, even if it's me. Like you supposed to let people treat you da da da, and had like a real conversation with me about
Mhm.
how I am supposed to allow people into my space based on who I am. So we woke up, and of course, then I ain't shared with them because we had got to that point where I could share with him like
Yeah.
how in depth my visions and my dreams are. But I was like, damn. And I would ask him, I was like, did you have a dream when you was asleep? And he was like, no, why? And I was like, okay, nothing. And so it continued to go
Mhm.
on where every time I was over there, either he could be at my house or I'm at his house. No matter, every time that we went to sleep, he was in my dreams and we were doing something every
Mhm.
single time. And so I was trying to research and figure out, what is this every time I go to sleep next to this man, that he's in my dream space. I've never had nobody in my dream space like this before. I ran
Mhm.
across one lady on YouTube that was an Indian lady who was talking about it. She was the only person that shared a little insight into having that cosmic partner in your dreams. Like you gotta like this. I'm like, this is weird. I'm like, we do stuff. If we be have a whole life, or he talking to me, or it was every single time. And
Yeah.
so that's how I knew. I'm like, okay, this has never happened. I've even lived with my child's father for years. I've lived with
Mhm.
ex-boyfriends for years, and we wake up and go to sleep in the same bed together every night. Never was in my dreams,
I
but
slept with my ex-husband for 12 years, never had dreams
never.
about him.
I've never had
To
dreams
this
about
day,
these
I've
people.
only had one.
Never had dreams about these people. So I was just like, okay, that's when I woke up to the awareness that this is something different. Like I don't know. That's when I really came into, okay, let me look a bit deeper into, I can't treat this like just anything.
Yes.
And so even like you said, when we weren't together per se, in my mind, I was just like, okay, so when is this gonna go down? Because when is this gonna come back? Because I know it's coming back. I just don't know how long it's going to be. So that's when
You
my mind
know.
went away from how long and went into what do I require? I went back to what his soul told me initially because I got caught up in the relationship of things that I had to look at within myself because I'm an overgiver. And
Yeah.
because I was an overgiver, I was overgiving to him, which was not right. Which is
Yeah.
like you're putting you on the back burner, which he had already told me that in the dream with his soul, and I did it anyway. And I didn't
Yeah.
understand it until we were in separation and I did the work. So when we came back, I laid out the requirements because I'm just like, okay, overgiving is done. Like that's
Mhm.
not happening again. And then I kind of understood my space and my place on how I need to move and how I need to move the relationship. Because now, because even I had a reading on that, like it's on you to move the relationship like this because this is his energy, this is your energy. So understand you are the one responsible for moving this forward. If you don't, he's not. So when I had that reading, I was like, okay, so it's on me to understand who I am, stand in my power, let him know what he needs to do, and then make him step in his place. And I'm the one that's supposed to progress the relationship forward.
Yeah. And see, the dream part is so important because I would go into past life. So, or I would have a dream that told me or showed me how we have done things before. So, I would have this dream, and in the dream, it always was kind of like I didn't accept him fully or I didn't trust myself when it came to being in a relationship with him. So it would always be like I would always be regretting the fact that I didn't just be with him, or I would be regretting the fact that I let the
Mm,
relationship go. And in some of those realities that you're in, that relationship doesn't come back because now you are all of your timelines working simultaneously together. Now you're on a timeline. You have to work out this timeline because that was just like the sneak peek into, okay, this is something that happens often when we meet each other, when we come into contact with each other. In other timelines, I see where I don't accept you fully, or I don't fully trust you in a way, or I'll let somebody talk me out of being in a relationship with you, and then that person will end up with you in that
mm,
timeline. So in this timeline, it helped me because whenever I'm feeling a way, or whenever we go into what they call separation, or we're not talking, no contact, right?
mhm,
I would have these overwhelming dreams that would show me how he really felt about me. But this is in a whole nother timeline. Maybe it's old timeline, or maybe it's a timeline that I haven't reached yet. So it always gives me the possibilities, or it shows me how the different perspectives of, okay, if you make this move, okay, this is a solution to your problem because this is what's going on in this timeline. So it allowed me to see that, okay, I have to do something different this time. I cannot
mhm,
keep being afraid of what will happen if I just be all in. And the same thing, he had to realize that in order for him to fully come into who he is supposed to be in this lifetime, and um to for him to be able to trust his feelings and his guidance, he also has to come into the same realization, okay, well, I have to do something different. And that basically is what has been happening through the dream state. We are establishing something different. So this last time when we were in no contact, um he came back completely different because of not me. Like, I knew it was going to come back. It was like, but you have to detach, and you can't give energy to things that are not serving you. Even if it's your masculine doing these things, you cannot give energy to those things. So you have to step back. You have to take your energy back. And when I did that, he came back another person. It was like those realizations started to come to him as well. And he says he don't dream, but I've been laying beside him, and there's been times where we have, like, literally, we are walking in and out of timelines through dream state. We are like, I say I'm here, he'll be like, all of a sudden I see him walking in, but we were on FaceTime, or I have those dreams where I step into his dream and I'm watching as an observer what he is actually dealing with internally, that he's not saying to you. And these masculines are not just open to tell you, how they're feeling. They are still testing you. You have some of these masculines that are still trying to testing you to see if you're going to walk away this time. Is this really the last time? If this, they have been testing us energetically, knowing and unknowingly. Okay. Testing to see if this is real union or not, because they're learning how to trust themselves, and trust the process as well. So even though they act like they don't dream, or they say they don't dream, clearly they're doing dream work too, and energetic work, and walking in and out of dreams to show you things and to give you insight on what they are dealing with internally. Sometimes it's comfort to just show you, like, this is, you know, everything is not what it looks like. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's deeper
Yeah.
than I've ever in any relationship that I have ever experienced. And you will go through those phases where you feel like you have lost your shit.
And that's the work. That's why it's like it's not easy. What they would say, it may be a bit of a challenge, but and both, like Galactic Honey is she's a Pisces sign. I'm a Cancer sun rise. It's a sign. So we're both water signs in that regard. And so when it comes down to, and just us divine feminine witches in general, um looking at it from that perspective, like, we're going to see things that happen. We have this intuitive foresight, like, we see things, we
Yes.
know things are going on, we feel things, or we'll see things, like, and it had got to a point where my awareness was so deep. This how I knew that the connection was getting ready to be at a point of no contact and no connection,
Yeah, you
because
know.
I
It's
was
like you automatically
seeing,
know.
and I knew, I just was seeing and feeling so much that was going on in him. Like, and at first for me, it felt like I'm seeing too much. Like, I was like, oh my God. Like, I was like, now why do I have to see all of this? Like, I don't want to see all of this. And I woke
And
up one
I'm
time and
sure they feel the same way. Like, why does she have to see all of
okay,
this?
why she
Why
know that? I
we
woke up and I
showing
was
it
like,
to her?
okay, who did this? Who had the abortion? What happened? Da 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 da. And I'm sitting there. He said, "You was asking me all that." He said, "One of your eyes turned red. And I didn't know. I was like, what? Yeah, one of your eyes turned red. I said, I don't know what was going on. I said, all I know is when I was dreaming next to you, that all of this information flooded into me. And I woke up and I was upset and I was crying. And I felt like it was a lot of things that was going on that he wasn't sharing with me. So it just came out. So I
Mhm.
knew it was getting to a point of not so much of the fact of what was going on, but it was more so of there was work that he had to do that needed to be cleaned up for him to be ready for a higher ascended relationship. And there was work and boundaries that I had to set up in order for me to be prepared and ready for a higher frequency relationship. So until I did the work, it was being brought to me like, hey, he got this going on, but really we showing you this so you can get time to work on you, and then he can get time to work on him. Because when
Yeah.
we came back together in Union, I never forget where we were. We was in the parking lot. He invited me to go to this game. We was in the parking lot and we just hugged each other forehead to forehead. And we just was there. It was like time had stopped and we was just like forehead to forehead, like we had never even like left. And then even that night I couldn't even really sleep good. He wanted me to stay over. I woke up, I went home and called him at like 5 in the morning. And I said, I just got to tell. That's when, like you said, chakra points, I was working on my throat chakra. I was
Mhm.
like, now I have to get this out. I have to share with you how I feel because I haven't been sharing with you how I feel. And I've been
Mhm.
doing myself a disservice and I'm keeping my energy stagnant from even ascending me and even evolving the relationship. So let me share with you how I'm feeling. And then he was able to come back and was like, okay, I understand. And now he's sharing more. So
Yeah.
where he was open before, with receiving what I had to say, now this is like a year later, it's more him now working on his heart, allowing that to balance out all of them and being open enough to be able to say, hey, I surrender to the connection. Like you said, I surrender to this. Let me be open enough to know that she's in this for me and I'm in this for me and she's in this for her and I'm in this for her. Like it's both. It's like I'm here for him, he here for me, but I'm here for me and he here for me. And then vice
Yes.
versa.
Yes. Because you work on, not only do you work on yourself, of course, the fastest way to get to the breakthrough when you are doing this work is to start with self first. We always want to start
Mm-hmm.
with self first, but it's also those times where the universe teaches you that you also have to do work for that other person, because there's certain work that we do as divine feminines that they don't do as divine masculine, and then there's some work that they do as divine masculine that we don't do as divine feminine. And I feel like that's how the mirror effect kind of works. He's showing you through action what's really going on within you, and you internally are showing him what's really going on with him. um
Exactly.
and he's like it's like you is what I've noticed is that 9 times out of 10, we are both learning the same lesson, but it's the lesson in a different perspective or a different
Mm-hmm.
way. It's always the same communication. Like when we're working on communication, like those chakra points have to match up. So you got the heart chakra, you got the throat chakra, and you also have that third eye chakra, because you also need that insight, that intuition to be able to navigate through these functions that you're using at this time in order to learn this lesson, or in order to get through the breakthrough, so that you can receive that download that clarifies everything that you've been gathering through each other this whole time. So through him, I've learned who I am as a person and the things that I needed to work on within myself, like you said, um um working on communication and speaking to him and telling him like how you feel and how this this is not something that makes me happy, when you do certain things, but also not saying a you, but also saying, okay, well, this is what I recognize within myself through the actions that you showed me. I'm
Mm-hmm.
able to go so deep to where I'm not afraid anymore. It used to scare me to go that deep, because once you get there, once you know, you can't unknow. Once you know these things about yourself and the way you have been operating all of this time, you can't unknow that. Now that lesson has unlocked itself, and now you have to do the work that it takes to do that. But it takes both of you.
Yeah.
You can do it on your own, but you're gonna only get so far, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you will not hear a lot of people say that. You will not hear a lot of people admit that sometimes you do need a counterpart to show you that this is something that you're tolerating from me, and that's not something that you should be tolerating. I have heard telepathically him say she still don't know who she is yet. They are here to help you become the greatest version of who you are supposed to be in this lifetime, and vice versa. They can't become the greatest version of themselves by you accepting everything from them, or acting out of desperation, or um, wanting to just look at this in a 3D sense. Sometimes you need that kick in your ass to be like, okay, like I tell them all the time, you keep me on my game, and I like that. That's one thing I like. You don't allow me to be stagnant. When I'm stagnant, I know that, okay, number one, I'm gathering information. Number two, there's some big breakthrough about to come, and he is the catalyst for the breakthrough.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time, through the actions that he shows me that's happening within me. Once I correct what's going on within me, then it's like I take action, and then I start to give off the loving thoughts. The doubt is gone, the ego has been set aside. I'm now doing the work that helps to magnetize him back towards me, but not in a way of desperation. It's like ups and downs. Sometimes you're on that downward slope and you going up. Sometimes you're on that upward slope and everything is looking great. Well, you can't always be in that positive, upbeat frequency all the time, because we don't learn anything there. That's not where we actually do the work. The work is done internally. And once I have done it within me, now I can push it out. I can project it to him in a way that it clears his mind as well. Kind of like it gives them a breakthrough. It's like all of a sudden they know when to come in. It's weird. I won't even, like, if I'm having a really bad day. Back in the day, it used to be like, if I had all of these and I couldn't control my mind and I just felt so emotional and so all over the place, he wouldn't even call me, text me, he wouldn't answer the phone, none of that. Because his mind can't take it in the spiritual realm, in the mind space, and then in the 3D as well. We remember that Not Today t-shirt and the Not Today, you know. So it to me, once as once we step back into our pattern and call our energy back, we are able to push that loving energy back out in a way that now they are receiving the breakthrough. They are receiving that go ahead, like, okay, I can come back in now. And now all of a sudden you get a what you doing text.
Mm-hmm. And it's in a healthy way too, because even
Not toxic at
when
all.
it's in separation, like you're learning how to be back connected in a healthy way, how to be able to give but not overgive, how I can speak but not be overbearing, how you learn like the cadence of your
Yeah, the
partner.
attachment. Yeah.
You start to get like, I understand how the tone my voice has to be, the how much loving energy I need to share, how close or separate from him I need to be in order to speak on this particular topic. How much time did I need to give him as I put something out there for them to reflect on
Mhm.
before I hound them? See, it's not the same as like a 3D relationship. It's not the
Yeah.
same as a twin flame. Once you're working from your higher self, like we're talking, this is witches and warlocks. So anytime that you're working with your partner, you're channeling. Like anytime that you know that your partner is going through an ascension process and having those ascension symptoms, then you know what you need to do as far as your channeling on how you need to speak and
Yeah.
work with them. Because, like I said before, it may be someone in the connection that is of a higher frequency than the other, or whatever. Because I don't
Yeah,
even
you
like to
can
even
be on
say
two
that. You
different
just say that,
timelines.
huh?
Yeah, you can be on two different
You
timelines.
just could be on two different timelines. So you'll
Mhm.
know how to draw in from the divine or source energy. What, because I've done it a lot of times where I'm outside of me and
Mhm.
I'm letting source speak to him.
Mhm.
And see, as a witch or warlock, when you working with your divine counterpart, you understand that this is an ascension process. Like the whole reason for being together is for ascension of self within
Yes.
all timelines of dimension, because you'll then see that as you dream, that those dreams start to be in sync with this realm, and you'll
Mhm.
see like, hey, I'm really allowing source now, and source is taking part in all existences at the same time. So
Yeah.
really that part of that I had to learn is like I had to step out of a 3D thought process of what a relationship's supposed to be and how you're supposed to be and how I'm supposed to be. When that got cleared out and I ascended past that, then now I work more out of, because disagreements happen rarely. You know what I'm saying? Where there's discussions, they're in arguments. It's more of less source talk. And you step your ass out of here because you gonna be on something else. And then I may be on something else later when I go home, but then I allow source to speak to him and to me. And then later I'll learn more that I need to know about who he is and how I need to cater to the relationship.
Yeah. It takes a lot of it takes a lot of inner navigation to be able to, because if you look at this from a 3D sense, we tend to get lost and you tend to pay attention to the things that are actually not really serving you,
Mm-hmm.
because sometimes they are releasing timelines. You have to be able to be in a place to where you can go within and understand that, okay, I am on this timeline and he has
Yeah.
not reached this timeline, but or he has reached this timeline and he's trying to release the old timeline. I feel as divine feminines, we go through this type of thing first, so that we'll be more compassionate and understanding to their process as they ascend to their next timeline, or to the timeline to actually meet us on it, um,
Mm-hmm.
which is not easy to do. We all know that when those timelines are collapsing, um, you can see in all around in your reality that you are reaching a new timeline. Things begin to shift. You begin to see new things. You begin to see um, things growing, stuff you've never seen before, just pop up out of nowhere. Um, and we have to understand too that even though they are not looking at it in a spiritual sense all the time, because just because they are warlocks does not mean, and they are human beings, does not mean that, or just because they don't know, because a lot of times they don't have any idea what they are doing as warlocks. They
Mm-hmm.
haven't come into it yet. But then you have times where you be like, I think he know what he doing. Like he got to
Mm-hmm.
know that these things are happening. Like it's been sometimes, like you said, talking to the higher self, where I had to realize, like, oh, wait a minute, I'm talking to his higher self. It even seems like he gets taller when I'm talking to the higher self. It's like when the higher self makes itself present, it's like I receive a download that allows me to step further into his energy and know, like, okay, this is just an act, like, or this is the way he tests if he trusts me or not, or like, even in a sense where this is him figuring it out. Like, he's figuring it out. His 3D self has no idea what is going on. They still are kind of like, back and forth sometimes. As
Mm-hmm.
time goes on, you start to realize, oh, okay, he is ascending. Like, he knows some things, even though he's not saying it in the way that I would say it in a spiritual sense, but you can see the awakening happening within them, to where you can be like, okay, I can see it. I can see it like butterflies. Like, there was just an over amount of butterflies this summer. They just showed us the masculine transforming um, in a whole nother way. And at the beginning of this year, I had a dream about the masculine energy carrying coffins through mud. They were carrying their own coffins. So they've been in transformation all this year. And as divine feminines, we know how that is, to where you are literally, even though we have been in transformation, the transformations that they have been going through this year are things that we have already worked our way through. But even with them not being on the same um timeline at times, you even notice that they are striving to get to that timeline. Things just start to make sense in their world, even when it doesn't make sense, and which helps us to make sense of things. Like, just hearing them talk, sometimes it goes around in circles, but it's a download. It's like encoded. It's so sacred that it's encoded within the way they talk and within their actions. Like, he could wear a certain color and I know which chakra he's working on. I'm like, oh, okay, you working on this chakra. Get what you going. I get what you got going on here. Your higher self is speaking through me through these signs and synchronicities. Okay, I get it.
Yeah, so we hit an hour already. So I went by fast. But this was the intro, our first episode of giving you all a peek into what the witches and war. Of course, we're the witches perspective. We will have warlocks on here. Yes, we want the warlocks to speak because
Yeah.
there are some divine masculines who are ascended and they're dealing with their divine feminine from a different perspective and timeline. So we want their perspective on dealing with that divine feminine energy as well. So
Yeah.
we gonna be back 11:11. Thank you. It is, yep, it's 11:11 where you are. It's 10:11 here, so you must be on the East
Yeah.
Coast.
Yeah.
Easy does it.
That's so
Thank you
true.
for joining in. Um, but yeah, this was one of the first episodes that Galactic Honey and myself came to want to get started just to talk about it. And we kind of was, just going through our experiences this evening, but it's gonna get deeper.
Yeah.
So we kind of giving you a little taste tonight of what we want to share, and we're going to start honing in on because we have people who haven't got to their cosmic partnerships yet. We got people who may be saying they're looking for you. Really don't even have to look, but they'll say they're looking for their cosmic partner, or how do I draw in my cosmic partnership, or all of these different questions, or how do I know this is my cosmic partner? So
Yes.
we're gonna
Some
go
of you
into
have them
all of that.
already and not even have given up,
Exactly.
have just given up.
It's already there.
We come to bring you back because we all need this experience. We really do. We need this experience to really expand ourselves and to expand our consciousness. And to do something that we've never done before. Because had we done this before, we wouldn't be here. So obviously we in new territory, and
Yeah.
our experiences, we hope that they will guide you into those downloads that you haven't been able to receive because you don't believe, or you don't, or you might just be in a place where you don't have the correct clarity um, that you need, or you may have been misled along the way. I've been misled many times, but it's all a part of the process. So this is just to give you insight on what you like, the signs, the synchronicities, just what to expect, um, and just support, along the journey of cosmic partnership, because it is not for the faint of hearts. But when you are lovers like us, we love love, okay? We love it. And we love the different aspects of love, the different perspectives of love, and the expansion of what love brings into the cosmic partnership, and the
Yes.
trust that brings. It brings in, once you start to feel safe, you be like, here we go again. Here we can, I got you this time.
All right, y'all. Well, thank you all, everybody who joined in, whether you watched us live or you're watching the replay on YouTube. We appreciate it as we're going through this journey. You're going to see a Witches and Warlocks logo. You're going to see Witches and Warlocks, everything. Like, we're growing. We're going to be growing this channel. And you all are going to help to grow us as we are going to be talking to you about what you want to hear. You can, if you're watching this later, leave a comment below if it's something that you want us to talk on. Of course, like we've said, it's not, unicorns, rainbows, gumdrops all the time in this type of relationship. It is going to be a revelation to you. So if there's something that you want us to talk about, as we've getting to a point past where some people may not be at this time, because we're not saying we at the all be, but we're
Yeah.
saying that we've gotten to a point where some people may not be at yet or even come into a partnership, so we can share with you what that process look like. So definitely post a comment, let us know, and we'll be back. um Possibly, is it next Friday? You want to do next Friday? Okay, we'll be
Next
back
Friday.
next Friday,
Yeah.
8:30 Central Standard Time, right back here on YouTube. So make sure you follow Galactic Honey 369, the Blackfit Witch, the Dream Oracle, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.